Hello everyone, my name's Zoe and I'm an artist here on YouTube. So today, in honour of the release of the live action Lilo and Stitch movie, I have decided to draw Stitch for the first time. I historically have not been a fan of the original movie, and I know you're judging me right now on that, but I absolutely love the remake. For me, I think Stitch really benefited from being CGI and being more realistic. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the movie and talk about it too much, I don't think, in this video. I don't want to spoil it for anyone that's not seen it. I mean, I don't think it's different to the original, essentially. I think there's a few minor changes, but yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that isn't aware of the story and wants to see it. So, getting into the artwork, I started off doing a really rough sketch. This was taken from the sketches on the left-hand side of the sketchbook. There's actually three there, but you can only see the three. You can see three of them. There's actually four there. I was doing these sketches last night, working out kind of what pose I wanted to draw. So I just used a few reference images of Stitch from Pinterest, and I settled on this one that's on the top right of that page. Now, after I'd got my basic rough sketch in, what I'm doing here is going back in and defining the lines that will be like my proper guides, the ones that I will use to colour within, because there's a lot of sketchy lines there and I want to make sure that I've got proper defined lines to work with. The pencil I'm using is a Pentel, I think it's Pentel, or is it Pilot? Let me check. I've got one in front of me. They come in lots of colours. It's a Pilot Colour NO 0.7. It is a mechanical pencil, as you can probably tell, with coloured leads. And I really like these because they don't make the supplies you put over the top muddy like a graphite pencil would do. So yeah, I've really taken to drawing in these coloured mechanical pencils. I've got 5 of them in various different colours. So I've got like a red, a blue, a green, and an orangey yellow, and obviously this purple. So I just kind of decide which one I'm going to use based on what the colours of the end artwork is going to be. So because this was like a bluey pinky palette, I felt like purple was the best option to go with because it would cause the least disruption with the colouring. So yeah, going with the purple sketch. I did actually stop recording once I'd done this to take a photograph of it, just to remember it in case I messed it up. But after I was finished penciling in everything, I chose my colour palette. I started off with these 3 blues. So the lightest I use on the edges of like his main blue areas, and it is the blue that I use for the lighter blue rings around his eyes. So on his ears, like, I leave a tiny bit of that blue visible, but not very much, so it's more of a highlight than anything else. And then I go in with the progressively darker colours. Now, in case you're wondering why I cover it 3 times, it's all to do with keeping the colours all looking cohesive. So I find it just gives a better overall effect afterwards if you colour over top of the lighter colour each time. So I started with like a full light. I don't do it so much here because I'm not even that much, but I go with the mid-tone. I go all over with it. And this just helps bring all the colours together and to unify them. It is a good idea to do this. I kind of, a bit later on, you'll see that I didn't do it. I was thinking, is it really going to make that much of a difference? And then decided, actually, yes, it does. So I went in and like carried on doing that. I believe that was on his arm to the left, so what would be his right arm. So you'll see me do that and then decide not to, and basically redo it. It just improves the aesthetics of the colours at the end of the piece. And it's not a necessary step, but it's one I like to do, and I know a lot of other artists do it as well. You know, unifying your colour palette is, you know, it does help with the finished product. I find it's probably not quite so necessary on a piece like this where it's all blue, but yeah, you might do it with like a really light shade, like a light neutral if you're using lots of different colours. But I just wanted to do that with the blues, and I realise I'm rambling on there about something quite boring. But yeah, so normally when I'm using alcohol markers, I use them as a base layer, and I do go over the top of them with pencil in this, but I'm more wanting to feature the alcohol markers, so I'm putting a lot more effort in here to getting a nice smooth layer of alcohol marker down. If I'm pretty much covering most of it, then I don't worry about getting the blotchiness out. Alcohol markers are very good for getting smooth, but it does take a couple of layers of them, so you just really have to like work them into the paper. So yeah, I did spend a lot of time doing that, but actually, like, looking at the time wise about how long this piece took, actually the blue took 18 minutes, so it's really not a long time. And the same with the sketch. Actually, the sketch took 18 minutes, which was quite funny. So that was 80 minutes. So by the time 40 minutes had gone, I had sketched it and got the bulk of the colour down, which is incredible. He did take me, all in all, I think about an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4. Because that I went over with coloured pencils, and you'll see that soon. And then I outlined in coloured pencils, which takes longer for me than it would if I used a fine liner. And I've put a background in as well. So yeah, it's I am quite quick, and I suppose actually even for me, recently my videos have been taking me a couple of hours, I think, per piece. So I think he's on the quicker side of some of the artworks I've done for videos recently, but it's still, it's a longish time to be recording for, certainly, because the camera does tend to get in the way. But yeah, it's a quickish artwork, let's just say. But yeah, coming towards the end of the blue now, and after this I will tackle the pink in his ears. Now, that they're quite vibrant colours I've used, and I chose 2 pinks so I could do like an ombre effect down towards his head. But the second pink, the dark one I chose, actually didn't show up, so I had to then switch that out for another one, which you'll see in a minute. But this process is exactly the same here. I'm literally just working that colour in to get it nice and flat, and then I'll put my darker in a minute and then blend that out, and I do the same for the other ear. But do you know what? I'm just going to leave you with some of this now, and I will be back to chat about more of the artwork soon. Okay, so now I'm going in with this red Copic marker, and I really felt like this Copic marker was going to ruin this artwork. If you look closely, you can see it pooling the ink. It was leaking, and I kept having to wipe it off on another piece of paper. It was a little bit stressful, and then afterwards I ended up going over that with a paint marker, so that was a complete waste of my time using that alcohol marker there. But yeah, now I know, be careful with that red marker. I don't use it very often. There's clearly something wrong with it. I don't know whether it was overfilled in manufacture. I've had it quite a long time, and I think when I got it was from a school box. I'm pretty sure it leaked back then as well, but it's been a long time and I can't quite remember. But you know, I managed to avert crisis there, and I just kind of allowed it to leak in the areas I was colouring in, and it did not drip everywhere else, so that is good. This is one of the rare moments that I use acrylic marker on this piece. I've kind of been using them a lot more in pieces than I have with this recently, but I wanted it to be less about acrylic markers and more about pencils and alcohol markers. So I'm just using a mix of the Copic Crea and the Artex brush acrylic marker to do these dark areas. The Copic Crea is a much smaller nib, so it's good for getting the outline in and then filling in like the bigger areas with the brush Artex marker as well. So now that's done, there seems to be a big gap here. Ah, yes, I'm taping off an area to put a background in. I don't normally do backgrounds this early on, but because I've been using coloured pencil to outline my pieces, I didn't want to be sticking washi tape over my pencil outline because it would pull some of the outline away, so I'd have to then go back over it. So for this piece, I decided to mask off at this point. So the alcohol markers here are actually done, and it is ready for coloured pencil and coloured pencil outline. So once I have put this background in, it's going to be straight back onto stitch. Once the coloured pencils are done, I believe I went and did the white, because at this point the white on his teeth and the highlights in his eyes haven't been done. But yeah, I normally I do them earlier on, but they're quite large areas and I didn't want to smudge any pencil onto them and then have to subsequently come in and redo them, because I thought it'd be really noticeable. The background's taking 2 coats. That's quite standard for an acrylic marker when you're doing larger areas, so I tend to double coat stuff. So you can't see this, but actually on the outline, which is my original drawing, though the washi tape is taking some of the colour off, but it doesn't matter because that outline's not staying. I'm going to draw over it. So now I'm going in with a, what is this pencil? This is a Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle. It's a very nice coloured pencil that I've seen a few artists using for outlines. It works really well for pencil, pencil outlines. A complete brain fart then. Pencil outlines, because it's soft, but it's not too soft, so it doesn't blunt too quickly. I've tried a lot of different pencils for colour pencil outlines, and this is the one that I find the best, especially if you're going to try and draw over a bit of acrylic marker as well, because a lot of colour pencils I find don't want to draw over it. So this is quite a good all-round pencil. The only thing you do have to be mindful is if you do use a wet medium after you've used it, you've got to avoid it, because the wetter mediums will smudge it, because it is an aquarelle pencil, which is watercolour. So that is just one thing you do need to be mindful of. But I think that it's a great looking outline that I always manage to get with this pencil. I do end up sharpening it quite a lot to keep it like nice. Oh, there's my hair. To keep that nice sharp edge. It does take a bit of sharpening, and that does waste the pencil quite a lot, which is a shame because these aren't the cheapest pencils. They're quite expensive, and yeah, I've used that pencil really quickly. I've only had that a couple of months, but I think for me it's worth spending a bit more on. I mean, these supplies, when I buy them, don't come out of my personal money anyway. My YouTube channel funds itself, so I think I'm quite fortunate that I can, any of these supplies that you see me using in videos, when they run out, I use the profit from my channel to replace them. So I'm by no means rich, but I do get enough from YouTube to replace things like this when they run out, and can justify a little bit more spending on some better quality products. And that's not to say you can't do any of this with cheaper products, but for me, I've found that like Holbein pencils are one of the best pencils I've used, so I'll buy those. And the Caran d'Ache pencils, sadly, at their price point, I found are the best for outlines. I do use others like colour pencils for outlines, but this is definitely my favourite one. And if I'm doing a big piece like this, it's usually the one that I will pick up. And I've got it in a couple of different colours as well. I've got these two purpley reds. One is darker than the other. The one that I've used here is the lighter of the two. And I have, is it phthalo blue? I think it's phthalo blue I have. It is one of the darker blues, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway, so now I had finished the outline. I'm using my Holbein colour pencils. Now, I mention these in a lot of videos, and then I don't use them because they are pricey and I'm scared to use them. So I decided today was the day. Unfortunately, you can't really see that is like an luminous fluorescent, like orangey pink colour I'm using, and then I'm using this one, which is like a fluorescenty, minty, greeny blue colour. So just giving it a bit more highlight around the edges. I think that pencil worked really well for what I wanted it for. I definitely really like these Holbein pencils, and I've got a whole set of the pastel ones which I need to use. So if I can think of something that would benefit the colour palette from those, I will definitely bring that in later on. But yeah, it's there's so many supplies. I need to knuckle down and work out how many supplies I've got and what videos I can use them for. Because if it's like a supply that's in my permanent collection, like I like them. I don't tend to, if I have a supply that's okay, I'll tend to sell it. Oh, I blobbed my white there, so I have to come back and fix that later on once it's dried. But never fear, I will fix that. I really love doing, I know a lot of people say don't use stark white and don't use like black, but for cartoon characters I do really like using white for things like teeth. Eyes I won't use the stark white for, but highlights I will. And I do like to go round the figure with the white outline as well. This is a Copic Acrylic marker. So it's Copic's acrylic marker, and it's very good. It's got a nice precise tip. It can, as my hair again, it can blob a little bit if you're not too careful, but it's certainly better than a Posca for that. And I really enjoy it. So yeah, here we go, fixing it. Going back over, just doing a second layer on that white. So I'm going to do some hearts in the background in a minute. How are we doing for time? Okay. Well, I've got a guest at the end of this video. I didn't mention at the beginning, but I will probably put it up as a bit of text. So I'm going to stop talking to you because I don't want to overrun that. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the artwork, and you will see me on camera with a special guest in a minute. So see you soon. Hello everyone, welcome to the end of the video. So yeah, so I'm sorry I'm really bad at like looking at the camera because the screen's really distracting, but hey. So here is the artwork. You see that it's probably revert, it is because I'm using the front camera on my phone, but there it is. So as I said, we've got a special guest, so I'm going to just put that artwork there for a minute, and I'm just going to get the special guest. So he's not shy, but he's small, and I'm gonna have to pick him up. So he's been very good and very quiet at the moment, but that'll all change. So are you ready? Oh, hello. So Stitch, yeah, you had a movie out this weekend, yeah, and because you had because you had a movie out, I drew you. Yeah. Don't show the back of your head. So, would you like to see the artwork that I did? Yes? Okay, here we go. Oh, this is as heavy as you. Yeah? I think you like it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. I know, it's you. I know it's you. So we put that back. He has got a lot to say. Alright, so you're going to go now? You're still talking? Yeah. Oh. He's a good boy. Yeah. You say bye-bye now, Stitch, please. Alright. You... He's just going to sit there. You... Yeah, that's nice. Okay. You're very noisy. So thank you guys. A bit of a cheesy end to the video, I know. Yes, I know you're still there. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've not seen the Lilo and Stitch movie, it's really good. I didn't like the original, and I think the remake's fantastic. So, yeah, check that out. Not sponsored, I wish. Disney don't sue me. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.